Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about Square Enix's showing at E3 this year, 2019, because I think they did pretty much win Square Enix 2019. I thought that even before the Final Fantasy VII Remake won the Best of Show, that they still won. Because of, it wasn't just Final Fantasy VII they showed off. I'll talk more about it later, but they brought their A game. And if they hadn't, I think Cyberpunk 2077 would have won. CD Projekt Red is going all out with the editions they're offering. There's only the two, the regular standard edition and the special edition, and both versions are going to come with plenty of extra goodies, and that's just fucking awesome. That's how games should be made still, and they're one of the only companies who are still doing that. They really value the fans, and that's awesome. So I don't want to diminish in any way Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red's contribution to E3, because if not for Square, I think they totally would have won E3 2019. But the reason I think that Square did is for a number of reasons. I'm gonna try to keep this video short because I want people to watch and watch the whole thing. But yeah, the obvious reason is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It looks pretty awesome. There are some things I want to mention, but I'll kind of save them for a separate video. A video about kind of my overall take on what they're doing with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But all in all, they gave us trailers. They showed off more. It definitely looks awesome. And the combat, I had my reservations about it because they weren't doing the turn-based thing anymore, and they haven't had the best track record with doing sort of action-based combat in their Final Fantasy games. So I was a little bit worried, but it does look awesome. And from the people that actually did get to play it at E3, they all say it's pretty awesome. So I'm hyped about that. Of course, a demo would be nice, Square. I'd really appreciate one, and then I could decide for myself if the combat is any good. But yeah, we'll see about that, I guess. The only other major thing, because there was a trailer that dropped for the FF7 remake before E3 even showed, and we got a better look at still the early portions of the game, the bombing run at the reactor, the Mako reactor, and it appeared that they changed all of their voice cast, which was, I couldn't tell at first that Cloud's voice was different, but I could definitely tell that Barrett's voice was different. Okay, that a lot of the criticism was warranted. He does sound like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Like, I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. He did sound a little bit like that. We learned more at E3 though. They revealed the cast. They all seem to be like TV actors though. Some of them are from Teen Wolf. The new dude playing Sephiroth is from Supergirl. He's the guy that plays Superman. The chick that plays Tifa is from the Netflix series Glow. And they all sound good. They sound fine. Brianna White is the new Aerith, and I had never heard of her until now. But all I'd heard at the time was that she was a YouTuber, and the first thing I thought was like, what the hell, Square? Are you looking for YouTubers? Have you heard my Barrett? Have you heard my Barrett? Some of you have not heard my Barrett because you found my channel much later on, especially with that fixed camera angle video and my Resident Evil content. But in my first Final Fantasy related video, it was about the episode Dusky demo for Final Fantasy 15. I actually did bring up Barrett and mentioned that he was a very not safe for today's standards kind of character. He was not politically correct whatsoever, but I did like that about him, and I wouldn't want them to change him. We still don't know how much they're going to change him. He does seem over the top, so there's that. But yeah, I did my own Barrett impression. I mean, like Barrett, when he's mad at Cloud, he's like, "Why you acting like a bitch, Cloud?" Or when he's mad at Shinra, which is like, all the time. He's like, "Shouldn't have kissed my black ass." Or when he's mad at a chocobo, he's like, "You ostrich-looking ass motherfucker! Why you running? Why you running? Just 'cause I get off, you gonna run away like a bitch?" Well, yeah, Barrett, that's what the chocobo farmer's grandson told us. That's what chocobos do. They run away as soon as you dismount. Man, shut up, fool. I heard what he said, Cloud. I was just testing you. You passed, man. You ain't such a punk ass bitch after all. Now, obviously, that's a pretty big exaggeration, yeah. But he was over the top like that. Barrett was always like, he was a stereotypical angry black man. He was actually modeled after Mr. T. Yeah, you know, the great Mr. T. I pity the fool. That guy. And they nailed him perfectly with that. You couldn't really tell what he was saying. He did curse, but within reason. There wasn't a lot of like straight up F-bombs. Well, there weren't any. Like they were just implied because they used like different characters, like asterisks and all of that, ampersands, all those extra characters to symbolize that he was, you know, cursing. Kind of like a comic book, you know, a little word bubble that has like a bunch of different characters to indicate that somebody's cursing up a storm. That's what they used. Now, obviously, I wouldn't really want to be Barrett. I would turn it down if Square asked, but if I did, I would probably be criticized because I'm not black. But it's okay because I'm Mexican, and I would tell those people that they're racist for criticizing me. You see how that works? It shouldn't work that way, but that's how that works. But anyway, back to Brianna White. I later heard that she actually was an actress who just happens to be a streamer and YouTuber, so that's cool. That explains why her fans are like huge fans. I also don't mind her so much either because Aerith's been voiced by like 3 or 4 different voice actresses already, and I like her voice. And I also know what eventually happens to Aerith anyway, so not a big deal. But the others really, them being replaced, all of them, not just 1 or 2, all of them being replaced, really bugged the shit out of me. And I'll go into more detail on that in my separate video where I do want to just focus on the remake. But for those of you out there who are genuinely upset by the voice actor change, I agree with you. Okay, so consider subscribing because I do understand. I am one of those who shares your point of view on this. I think it was wrong. I think it was fucked up. There's nothing wrong with the new actors. They're doing just fine, but a lot of these actors have been these same characters for like 17 years, and they didn't. If they sucked, they had plenty of time to get rid of them. So there's more information on that. Maximilian Dude, who's another YouTuber, a big one, way bigger than me, in fact, has a really great video that anyone who's interested in the Final Fantasy VII Remake should actually watch. He actually got to go behind the scenes with Square about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. He's actually got a pretty awesome video on it. And he mentions a lot of things that they talked about, and one of those things was about the voice actor cast. Apparently the whole fucking first game, part 1 of the remake, was already voiced by the old cast. And then they decided to go back and replace them with the new actors. The old cast is still going to be used for everything else Final Fantasy related, and I can actually confirm that is true because Tifa just released for Final Fantasy, the City of Final Fantasy NT, and she's being voiced by Rachel Lee Cook. So that's absolutely true. But yeah, that video is pretty awesome. Check out Maximilian Dude's channel. That video will make you feel better about the remake overall. He's primarily a fighting game channel, but Final Fantasy VII happens to be his favorite game of all time, so that's why it's a big deal to him. But he's just a cool dude. I found him years ago because he has a fighting game channel and big on fighting games. But yeah, so other than that, Final Fantasy VII Remake looks fucking awesome. But that is not all that Square Enix revealed. We're finally getting a Final Fantasy VIII remaster, and that is just fucking awesome. So it's not a remake; it's a remaster. By the way, if you've never played the original Final Fantasy VII before, what the fuck are you waiting for? Just play it, okay? There are so many ways you can play it right now. It's on PS4, it's on PC, it's on Switch now. I'm pretty sure it's probably on iOS. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Failing that, you could, you know, use emulator software. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. The Mortanius channel does not endorse or condone the illegal downloading of software, but it understands. So yeah, there's a little disclaimer right there. So yeah, that Final Fantasy VII, fucking play it. Don't give me this shit about I don't like turn-based games. So what? I don't like racing games. But Mario Kart is awesome. All right, just play it. Just fucking play it. It's like playing D&D, which is suddenly cool now. I remember when it wasn't. But thanks to Stranger Things and various, Big Bang Theory too, I guess. It's popular suddenly. Yeah, it's topsy-turvy land. Anyway, so Final Fantasy VIII, finally, we haven't heard shit. It was getting no love. You couldn't get it really anywhere. I mean, they gave us Final Fantasy VII, 9, 10, 12. Not really 13. There may be reasons for that. But we thought maybe, Square just wasn't giving enough love to Final Fantasy VIII. There are rumors that they lost some crucial part of the source code. And so remastering that game or porting it over was difficult. I don't really know. Nothing's really been confirmed. But whatever happened, it seems to have been resolved now because Final Fantasy VIII is coming out finally, and that too is a great fucking game. I love Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, no, it's not my favorite, but it is one of my favorites, and it just doesn't get enough respect. I've always felt. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be fucking awesome. And last but not least, it wasn't just a Final Fantasy Fest at E3. It was. I've talked about it before on this channel, but they finally are giving us, well, they finally did already, the collection of mana, the same collection of mana they released in Japan, a couple years ago now, of the first 3 games in the series. I've told you what they were before. The Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy, aka Second Densetsu 1. They later remade it for like Vita and mobile. We called it Adventures of Mana. There's of course the second one that everyone has heard of, which was Secret of Mana. I made a whole video about how that remake for Secret of Mana was getting trashed. I felt unfairly, and I gave my defense for that. But in that video, I also mentioned that they never ever gave us the sequel to Secret of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3. At the time, it was known as Secret of Mana 2. I read about it in a magazine. I wanted to fucking play it there and then. But the guy who wrote the article in that magazine, even he thought at that time, I don't know if we'll ever be getting it in the West. It doesn't seem like we will. And we now know a few more details. There was a serious bug that was plaguing that game in its localization. It was around on emulator software as well. I never did play that version. And I've been waiting for Secret of Mana 2, aka Seiken Densetsu 3, and now its true title, its new Western title, which is Trials of Mana. I've been waiting for that game since I was fucking 11. Alright, 1995. That's how long I've been waiting that game. And that game is almost solely responsible for why it has taken me so long to come out with this video, because it is... You always hear about games, you always wait for certain games, and you hope they're going to be this, and you have all these high expectations, but a lot of games let you down in the finished product. Maybe they don't let you down entirely, maybe they're still, great games, but they don't quite live up to the huge expectations you had for them in your head. I can't say that with this game. This game actually is everything I thought it was going to be. It is 10 times better than any of the other Mana games. It is better than Legend of Mana. I know a lot of people like that game. I liked it too, but I was disappointed with just how it didn't always feel like Mana. And Trials of Mana is available now on the Switch as part of the Collections of Mana game. And that's not all. They are remaking that game. I said that they probably would, and they wanted to. But I was really critical of the critics of the Secret of Mana remake, because if the criticism had hurt the sales of that remake, we might not be getting it. So that was one reason I was kind of pissed off with the critics of the Secret of Mana remake. Turns out we are getting it, and they're not just giving us the same kind of remake that Secret of Mana was. They're actually giving us a full-on, with like the Unreal Engine remake. Now the only downside is apparently it's not going to be 2 players, which is unfortunate, because that's one of the things that makes the Mana games great. Yeah, I know the first one didn't have it, but still, it looks great. It looks beautiful. And I said at the time, I would take an awesome, like, looking, modern graphics, modern gameplay Secret of Mana remake, but I was also fine with what we got, because it was still the same game, and that's the important part. It was still the same game, the same great game. But yeah, so we are getting the remake that a lot of people wanted the Secret of Mana remake to be, and it looks fucking great. I can't wait to play it. It is, however, going to be different, and the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be different from the original game. The Resident Evil 2 Remake was different from the original game. For that reason, you guys shouldn't just play these new remakes. You guys should be out there playing the originals as well. One of the reasons I defended Secret of Mana, the remake, so, vigorously, was because it was faithful. It was the fucking original game. They didn't change anything other than like what it looks like, and that game was just totally shit on. Even the combat was the same as it was on the Super Nintendo, except a little bit different because they were complete 3D character models, and so the movement was 3D style, and so it wasn't just an 8-way directional, action RPG. But it was a faithful game. It was the original game, very much so, and anytime they do a remake that, modernizes all of it, it is going to be missing something. The video down the road I'll do is the Resident Evil 2 remake. It was missing some things. It was not... It was great. Yeah, I love it. Don't let this, detract from it. But those of you who play the original, it was missing certain things, certain areas, certain parts of the game. The game was still great, yeah, but it was missing some things. And the Final Fantasy VII Remake will probably be missing some things, too. And those of you who just weren't, you weren't around back then when the originals came out, you should see what all the fuss is about. You should see why people love these fucking games. Because a remake that isn't a one-to-one complete faithful remake like the Secret of Mana one was, it's going to change some things. It won't quite be the same game. If it's not in terms of mechanics, it'll be in terms of content. I mean, apparently Square has an ethics committee who decided that we didn't want Tifa to look exactly how she used to, so we modernized her look. Now, granted, they didn't go all Mortal Kombat 11 on her. She still looks great, but again, that's just one aspect. And the combat's another, but the combat might be great, but they never... These remakes that re-envision the original game, they never seem to truly capture everything that the old game was. And I mean, I could make a whole separate video on whether that's because it's not the same gameplay style, because that factors into video games as art. They are art, just like movies, just like television, just like books. They are art. And with video games, it's an interactive thing as well. It's not just the story a video game tells. Is the game fun? What makes the game fun? It's all those things. So, with Final Fantasy VII and with Trials of Mana, play the originals. If you have a Switch, get the Collection of Mana and play the original. Secret of Mana, the reason the Secret of Mana remake also deserved to be defended, in my opinion, was because if you play with another person, like a living person, because it is a 2-player game, you don't have to read to each other the text. It's all fully voiced. so you can experience it together, and that makes the two-player aspect a lot more fun, because it's like it's happening to both of you, whereas before it's like either one of you will read the text, or you'll say, tell me when to hit X. That's one of the things I brought up in my Secret of Mana video. But yeah, play the original games, because they are great, and they deserve to be played. You're cheating yourself if you don't go back and play these original games. You really, really are. Okay, so if you didn't make it to the end of my last video, I do want to say that I want to point out that my content is uncensored. I know YouTube's algorithms don't like certain words that are mean and bad. But I'm going to say them anyway, because I don't want to censor my content. But because of that, I need you guys out there to like and share and subscribe and engage. And that's just how it is. We've gone through, what, 2 adpocalypses now. I don't do this for money. I do this for fun. I kind of want to keep it that way. But at the same time, my content is going to have a harder time getting noticed and getting put in its recommendation feeds. Man, my fixed camera angle video is just killing it. Okay, I'm still getting comments on that video. I'm still getting views on that video. So I don't know what magic I did, but it worked with that video. So you guys are gonna have to help me out here, and like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Recommend me to a friend. All of it. The next video I'm going to do is my Sekiro Shadows Die Twice video. That is a video that I had been requested to make, and I don't want to put it off any longer. And because it's also a badass game. Let me just tease you a little bit. I do believe that Sekiro is probably From Software's best Souls-style game. I really do. I think it's better than Bloodborne. I think it's better than Dark Souls. And I will tell you why in that video. So stay tuned for that if you want to know why I think that. I will see you guys next time.